Good morning.
It looks like we are
Good
officially
morning.
started, and Pily's here. Pily's back.
Yes.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you. And so Sumit, Pily was just telling us it's very hot in Mexico, just like in your neck of the woods as well.
Luckily, it's much better today. We had a rainstorm, so the temperature's down to about 75 or 80.
Oh, good. Oh, it seems still hot, but I know it's very humid there as well. So it's nice that you've had that storm to cool things off. I know how good that is.
I think after a hot, like the heat, to get that refreshing rain, it's just so nice, and everything smells different outside. It's so refreshing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Well, now that Sumit's here, should we all get started?
Yes. Let's go ahead and kick things off in just one moment here.
All right.
You
Perfect.
ready?
All right, beautiful. All right, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome to the People Strategy Forum. We are so excited to have you all here today. Maybe this is your first time here. So my name is Jules, and I help to introduce all our hosts as well as our guest speaker. And our goal here at the People Strategy Forum is to help you engage and energize and elevate your employees and your company. So every week we have a different guest speaker. So I really encourage you to show up each and every week. We have some amazing loyal listeners that show up all the time. We're so grateful for them. So join them, hop on every week and learn something new. It's completely free. And not only do we do this on Zoom, but we also turn this into a podcast. So if you can't jump on Zoom live, that's okay. You can always tune into the podcast while you're driving in your car or, cleaning around the house, whatever floats your boat. So again, my name is Jules. I'm going to introduce everyone else here on the panel. As you can see on your screens here, if you're watching this on Zoom or one of our other streaming platforms, we have some lovely pictures up here. Now, Shah is traveling a little bit today. She's had some delays, so she will not be able to join us today. She's usually here. We will miss her spirit, but she should be back next week. Howard might hop on as well, so we'll hang out and see if Howard manages to join in. But we do have Sumit here, and Sumit is a people strategist. He's an HR consultant. He spent many years helping all kinds of companies implement new and improved HR practices and solutions. So he's really great at strategy, organizational design, many other things as well. We also have Sam, who brings all of this together for us each and every week, helps edit the podcast, gets all the speakers for you, but he is also very busy running his own company named Comp Team. And Comp Team, actually, he was just telling us they're very busy right now because he specializes in compensation, which we all know is a very big topic right now. So he's very busy helping organizations of every kind implement better and new and improved compensation and reward incentives. So that brings me to our lovely guest. We have Pily Martínez. And if you tune in regularly, you might remember we had her on, I think it was a few months ago now. It was a little while back. I'm starting to lose track of time because, it's been a crazy 2 years, but she's back with us today and we are so excited to have her here. Now, if you need a refresher, Pily is based in Mexico. She is the co-owner of Arancione, which is a global talent firm. They work with companies across Latin America, the US, Europe. She's also a master trainer in talent management methodologies. And she has over 20 years of experience working as a leader in areas like talent management, supply chain, marketing, sales. And today she's really going to be talking to us all about talent acquisition. So everything from filling vacancies to talent management. She's a true expert. We're so excited to have her back. Good morning, Pily.
Good morning, Jules. Thank you very much for this great introduction. I really feel very flattered to be here and happy to be joining you in this conversation for today.
Yes, thank you, Pily. And so, Pily, as we get started, can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in talent management and recruiting, and a little bit about how the TMA method came your way and so forth, And just about yourself, can you give us just a little bit overview about you?
Yes, yes, I love to talk about that. So I'll try to be specific, I promise. Okay. I studied industrial engineering with the intention of working in marketing, you know? Why? Because I just like that. I mean, I didn't know what they did, but it was like, it sounded like interesting in that moment. So the destiny sent me into many other areas, operations, supply chain, even sales, and also marketing, but not the nice or the fashion part of marketing, but let's say like the numeric part of marketing, pricing in different industries, in retail, in logistics, in a beer company as well. So I learned a lot over there, but it had nothing to do with human resources. My personal life changed. I got married, and suddenly my child came, and I was offered a great opportunity of becoming part of Arancione. This company was founded by my brother 12 years ago already. Yes, 12 years ago.
Wow, yeah.
And he founded it with the objective of working specifically in executive search, in headhunting. And he prepared a lot, working with people and knowing how to get the best of the candidate in an interview, so you could know if there was a great match. He is one of the best recruiters that I had met up till then. I mean, in my experience, I've met a lot of headhunters, you know, moving from one position to another. I can say that I studied a master's in having an interview as a candidate. You have no idea how many interviews I had as a candidate to get into the position that I wanted, which was marketing, you know. 15 years I fought for a position like that. So he offered me this opportunity of becoming part of Arancione, with the chance to balance my life with my child, with my daughter. She's already 6 years old. So I began in zero experience in human resources, working in the company, but with a lot of experience of being a leader and being a client of human resources, a very tough client. I was awful. I really did. So when he offered me this opportunity, he said, you know, I have been talking to TMA for a long time. I think it might be interesting to do things differently. Why don't you look at it? You know, so I began talking to one of the co-founders of TMA, which you know perfectly well, and I know that he has already been part of the forum before, Andre Blum. And I began talking to him, and he showed me what TMA could do, and I was like in love with the method, not the technology, but the method, you know. What we wanted to do is to offer a different service, not the common things in talent acquisition, in which we could really know a candidate with data, you know, in a tangible way that could help our clients to understand if a candidate was good or not good. Because I hate perception, and I really hated that my clients said, oh, I don't see this candidate in that position, but there is no evidence, you know, it was just the feeling. So I wanted it to be more tangible. So once I said, Jorge, I have the tickets, let's go to Holland. And we went to Utrecht, and we were a week there. We knew the company, we knew the methodology, we got certificated. Part there, but most importantly in Mexico, they went to Mexico, and I began using the method in my service. So for 6 years, I have become, I believe, I don't want to say an expert, because that is not modest, you know, but I am really passionate about it. So that's how I got involved, not from filling vacancies, but from going to that, from that to talent management, you know?
Right. I mean, TMA is a great way to differentiate yourself, to get that strategic edge on how you do your practices, whether you're recruiting or in any part of the talent management cycle. So I'm a big fan as well and supporter of TMA, as you know, because they're always a sponsor for the People Strategy Forum. But one of the things that I think that's important in how the world is changing in the past, and when we were talking about talent acquisition or recruiting, a lot of the recruiters in the United States, of course, are really on getting candidates, trying to fill those roles, and providing people for those hiring managers to interview. And a lot of time, there's not a whole lot of rigor in selecting a person based on the competency of the job or the behaviors that the organization needs, and they're more about creating or providing a lot of opportunities for those hiring managers to view talent. And right now, there's a big divide in how the America as a whole is experiencing the talent problem. Here in the United States, there's not a lot of talent that's out looking for jobs right now, and so it's causing a big panic among those hiring managers and companies trying to attract talent to come into the organization. And I understand it's a little bit of a different environment in Mexico. Is that right?
Yes, Sam. Actually, what I have been discussing the last few days with colleagues and candidates is that the opportunities are not that many for all the people that are looking for a job, but statistics, they currently say that it's not only the active, let's say, market that is looking for a job, that they are unemployed right now, but there is also a 50% of the people that are currently working that they're looking for a change, so the opportunity of the companies of having great talent is huge, but I think that it has been very complicated to do the match so that the people don't want to move, I think that the biggest challenge is that not only to get the talent, but how can I retain the talent? Because the investment is huge, I mean, the timing, the knowledge, etc., is huge. So that is a challenge here in Mexico. And even though the circumstances are different in both countries, I think that the problems in talent acquisition are based on the same cause, the process.
Right. I just find it so interesting that we're neighbors, and the supply and demand of labor is so different just across the border. So yeah, that's very interesting. But I know that right now the way we're thinking about talent acquisition and bringing people on board is changing, because more than ever, there's been a desire to bring in the best talent, to bring in the unique people that are going to drive the organization forward. And to be able to get those individuals, we need to rethink our processes. And I know that you were highlighting a few methodologies that you were willing to share with us today on that. Is that right?
Yes, of course. If I may share my screen so that I can show you something that we have been looking at in our market and also in other countries. And I'm sure that in the US, it happens the same, because talent acquisition, the way that we think about candidates is almost the same, and it has been the same for more than 40 years. In the past, candidates were like looking for opportunities, but right now candidates are willing to make decisions for their careers, right? So there is something that we need to change as recruiters or as headhunters, so that we can get a great attraction of the talent, but also a good match, a good observation. So I'm bringing this slide. I hope I can explain it clearly, of what we have seen in the past. As you can see, we have here 4 steps These are the 4 steps that talent acquisition has done for many years, in which you get to the candidates, and you evaluate if the candidates have what you need, have. So this means if they have this certification that I need, if they have this degree, if they have this experience in this market, in this sector, industry, etc. So you get the candidates that have what you want, and then the candidates, they begin working in a selling mode because they know that they have what you need, So they begin working in a selling mode in which you talk about what you offer, what is the compensation, the package, etc. And then they say, okay, yes, but I want more. So the selling mode turns also into, let's say, I want to be what you really need, So, and that is really human. I want to be, how do you say? I really want to make a good impression for you so that you think that I am the best candidate for this. But that works like in 2 ways, If I am not the best candidate and you cannot see that, and I get into that position, I won't be happy, because I am not going to perform well and at the end deliver results, right? So that is the second point, the way in which you as a candidate try to get more than it has been offered. The third one is, if we really know the details, we talk about your responsibilities in that job, We talk about what you are going to do. The question is, if I already get the candidate that has what I need or what I want, and he's going to do exactly the same in the next position, what makes you think that he's going to stay there for long? You never think about that.
Right.
You say, I want someone that has already done this. And what makes you think that he wants to do it again for 5 more years? So that is a huge challenge. And at the end, if we know about it, we talk about the future of the position, right? What are you going to become after you do this in this project? And I say, if we know that, because most of the recruiters, they don't talk about the future. They just talk like the past and the now, but they don't talk about the future, because we are working in a very fast environment. We have 6 seconds to review a resume so that we can cover 10 or 15 vacancies per month if we have a low volume, So it is the work of a recruiter goes against the time and makes us do the job like this,
Right.
But what happens if we do it the other way around? And that is the need of the market.
Before we get there, I mean, I think this is just in talking about this methodology. I mean, the first step you say is have, our recruiters are going out and are asking, do you have this qualification? Do you have that qualification? We're basically going off of a checklist to select somebody. And that causes the candidate to almost be on defense, right? And to elaborate on oh yes, this is what I have, this is how good I am at this, and so forth. And so they are in this selling position. And whereas what we really want as an employer, the first thing that we're most concerned of as a hiring manager and as leaders of companies is, does this person have the right mindset, or are they going to be a right fit into our organization? And so, yes, we want them to have the skills, but more importantly, we want them to be the right cultural fit, the right have the right behaviors, so they don't come into the organization and be destructive, right? So it's definitely a backwards way of looking at it when we look at it in this clear lineages that you've laid out here. So thank you.
Thank you, Sam. And all these causes, imagine our own process is the one that causes that the candidates only look for more, you know, more money, more, but the statistics also say that right now, I don't want to tag people or generations, but current generations, what they're looking for is development. They're not looking for more salary. They're looking for development and several other things that change from country to country, from culture to culture, but it is not always compensation, right? So this means that we cause that the candidates look for that. So if we do the process the other way around, that is the way that right now we're working, is first of all, we need to understand what is the future of the position, what is the position offering. And when I talk to a candidate, I don't talk about what he has, but what the project is going to be about, you know? I have a project with these characteristics and the future of this position is going to be this. So the candidate opens his eyes or her eyes and they say, okay, yeah, talk about it, you know? Because the other way around, we get candidates like that say, yes, but how much does it pay? And that is the first question. And as a recruiter, sometimes you get offended, you know, you're like, oh, you're looking for money. Of course, he's looking for money. Everybody's looking for money, right? But we need to attract them with something more than that. Why? Because sometimes even some companies, at least in Mexico, I know that in the US, some companies are willing to pay more, but in Mexico, as things are going right now, companies are not willing to invest, you know, to invest more. So we need to attract them with a project as well, right?
Right. And Sumita, what are your thoughts on that?
So I find this really interesting. I think it makes a lot of sense, Pily. But one question I have around flipping the order is, how does one strike a balance when you're talking about the long term? So when you're talking about the will be, how do you make it sound attractive enough that the person is excited, but it's not so far into the future that as a candidate, I get turned off? To give you an example, say about a decade ago, in consulting, the idea was you spend about 10, 12 years in a big firm and you make partner. Now, if you try doing that with, say, a millennial, and I'm not trying to hate on millennials here, if you try to say that you stick around for 12 years, you will make partner, people are just not going to buy it. So how do you convert that into stepping stones, or how do you create the future view without losing the audience and strike that balance? That's the question I have.
I'm going to go into this, which is something that most HR professionals forget to do, you know, and that is understanding the needs of the position and the environment around the position. What we normally use in HR, well, most of HR professionals use, is the common job description, right? In which it talks about what the position does and that's it, you know? So what we do with our clients and with the HR department, but mainly with the hiring manager, is understand everything about the position so that we have a good overview of the circumstances, you know, talking about the business model. It doesn't matter if the position is not a director position, you know, I need to understand the strategy of the company and what makes you have this vacancy and what makes you get this position as key in your department and in the company, right? And how is the manager going to work with this position to understand if there are some additional things, you know, if the candidate has to be working with directors, even though he's not a director, or he has to work with several clients. That makes us understand as well what are the behaviors required to get a good result, you know, and experience and knowledge does not always give you that, you know. So that is the first understanding. The second one is the context. This means what are the risks? you know? And for example, in this example that you're saying, if I understood well, you're saying projects, right? It is not a permanent position, but it is a temporary position that is going to be covered for a project, you know? And that may not be attractive, and that is a risk. Why? Because if in the middle of the project, I have another opportunity that is permanent, probably I will leave the project. So that is a huge risk that I need to understand as a headhunter. And normally, we don't see that, you know? What are the other things are considered? For example, if it is a new position that is going to have a change management process around it, this means, I don't know, it is a new position that is going to be in the middle of some level that didn't exist. It might make people uncomfortable, you know? Why? Because I don't report directly to the big boss. Now someone else is in the middle. How is it going to affect me? That is also a risk that I need to understand, right? And to see if the person is going to be attracted. Talking about this future with a candidate has to be transparent, you know? I really want to attract them, but I don't want to lie to them. I don't want to say them, yes, this is going to be temporary, but this is going to be the biggest opportunity in your life. Well, probably no, because he has many other things to worry about, and suddenly in 6 months he's going to be without a job, and he doesn't like that. I need to understand that from the candidate. So that is why talking about the will be is very important. You know, if I have a position like the one you're talking about, and I get with the candidate, I have to be honest from the beginning, I have a temporary position, but the biggest opportunity is the salary is going to be higher than the salary you would be getting in a permanent position because of the risk that it represents, but it will make you work with a great project, with a big project, or you will be joining a new sector that will give you development or knowledge. You know, you have to find out what are the advantages, but you should also be transparent from the beginning, you know, because if not, I think that the worst thing that a recruiter can have is that at the end of the process, the candidate says, no, thank you, you know, because you spend a lot of time with him.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's so important that we need to realize as leaders that our recruiting team or that talent acquisition function is basically a client-facing role. We need, because those are the people that we're trying to protect the brand of the company, and ensuring that we're being truthful and honest, and really highlighting the future of the company, where it's going, and the opportunities is a great way to reach out and not only find the best candidates, but also communicate what the company is doing and the great opportunities of growth that there are overall. Even if you don't select that candidate can go back and tell other people about how great the organization is, and they would really love to work there, and then hopefully they'll find another opportunity, and they're more likely to look for that next opening in that company when it comes up, because they know of the great vision of the future.
And that is really, really important, Sam. What you're saying about the employer branding of the company, it is really important that every candidate that goes into your process has a good experience. Right now, one of the things that we're doing, and it also answers part of your question, I hope, Sumit, is that after they begin a process with us, every candidate goes through the TMA analysis, you know? It is a great tool for them to understand not only who they are, but what they like and how to work better. So it doesn't matter if in the first part of the process, at the end, you say, Pily, this is not for me, but you will get something for your development and for your career, you know? forever and ever. And that experience helps to have this employer branding that says, you know what, this doesn't work for me, but I know someone that might work for you, you know? And then he may do that network for you, or they may talk about the company and the opportunity. So it makes it easier to get that. But if you don't work on your employer brand, it is difficult.
Yeah, so but that's a really good point. I mean, one thing that the tool does, and I know there's many tools out there that also create a talent pool. You know, so basically, when we provide that assessment using the TMA process, we learn about what people love to do, what their drives are, and so forth. And they may apply for a role, and then maybe we select a different candidate other than that particular individual. But one thing that we need to keep in mind is if we keep those individuals that did the assessment in our talent pool, and those are people that we could reach out later on to and bring new opportunities. And for instance, call that candidate back and say, you know, I know that we didn't hire you for this particular role, but have you ever considered being in financial advisor or whatever it may be? And that person might say, well, no, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm an accountant. And so like, well, I think that you, based on what we've learned from you and talking about your passions during the interview process, I think that this may be a great career for you. And they may find passion in that and be an outstanding contributor. So I think there's other opportunities that the TMA process can yield in increasing the candidate pool instead of just looking for people that are looking for jobs.
Exactly. And you know what, that making this match, sometimes it's difficult because, okay, you probably have an assessment. Let's say it is not a TMA, okay? Let's say it is another assessment, but I need to do the match with my current need, okay? We work with the TMA method with the definition of the needs, you know? So talking about this image that I am showing you, we call it work role canvas, Aranciones work role canvas. And what we do with this information is that after gathering all this information from our client, we define what are the behaviors required to cover all that, you know? And we do that with our client. They participate in the definition, they vote using technology with a very simple process in which they say, yes, Pily, I haven't thought about that, but you're right. I need someone that can be attracted by this situation, and that the behavior that I need with that is this one, you know? So we define these competencies and we use the competency library from TMA that I really recommend, or yes, I recommend for the people that are listening to us right now. If you want to give how do you say it in English? To give a peek?
Yeah, so to definitely take a look. The competency library is a free resource, and you can find it at competencylibrary.com. And there, like Pily's mentioning, you can see a bunch of different types of roles types of competencies and the activities that were, you know, that clearly define them, or you can use it for coaching or recruiting questions and so forth. So it's a great resource.
Yes, and we use that because it makes it very simple to define the behaviors and to make it really tangible, not perceptions, but evidence in an interview, you know? So once we have defined these behaviors, TMA has the opportunity to make this match that we're looking for. So normally what we're trying to find in a process of talent acquisition is this, and I'm going to explain this graph. We're trying to look for three things, right, in the candidates. Right now, they have a current job, which is this line that you're looking at right now. And we want that the new job for them is better, you know, in many senses. So we're talking about a stretch in what they are going to be doing. You need to do that. You cannot think that someone wants to do the same, exactly the same thing in a new position. They have to be desperate, right? And that desperation is going to turn into someone that is going to leave the job in a few weeks or probably in a few months, right? Impact in satisfaction, and that is where TMA goes. You know, I really want this position to be motivating for you. And how am I going to know that? Because probably you're in your selling mode. You're going to say everything you're interested, right? But we don't want that. We really want the truth. So TMA is going to help us with a validation of the candidate. And finally, development. You know, most of the candidates right now, they're looking for development. This is the most important part of what they want, you know, and this part of the development comes with the will be that we were talking about. So I think that that part is going to help us cover, you know, the will be that we were saying.
Yeah, but I really like that what you were showing there, Pily, because when we're thinking about, when we make let's just see, if we're making a judgment on how to if we're buying a new car, for instance, or whatever, the first thing a salesman might ask us is like, oh, well, what are you looking for? I mean, what is your current, you know, vehicle like? I mean, what is it? I mean, does it, and you might say, well, it doesn't go as fast as I'd like it to go, or the mileage is not as good as I'd like to go, and or it's almost worn out. I need to find something new. You know, so as a recruiter, I mean, understanding a little bit about the workplace that they're currently coming from and the job that they currently hold and what they're looking for in the future is really important to understand how we can attract them to the new position, right? So, you know, hey, we can do better we offer more. I understand that you're looking for more development, and that's not something you currently have in your role. And this is what we can do for you in our company and how we fill that gap, and going through the value proposition overall. So I think this is a great way for us to, as leaders, to think about how can we improve our value proposition to those important candidates, and trying to influence them to come over to our organization and take that leap of faith that we are a better company.
And that comes also with a change of mindset, Sam. We used to be very tactical in talent acquisition because in the past that worked, you know. The challenges that we were having with the talent were totally different. But right now we need to be more strategic. We need to stop thinking about the now, about what they have. That has to be the last point, you know. We need to think about the strategy also for the candidate, so that we make the best of an acquisition, because having a new person in a new role is an investment, and you know it more than anyone with your compensation experience. It is an investment. And when 6 months later or a year later, they say, thank you very much, I'm going somewhere else, bye-bye, you're like, oh,
yeah, that's very expensive.
1 year.
Yeah, and that's one thing that leaders and recruiters, when they're in that mindset, don't think about. I mean, it's like they're just trying to, then now I got to fill this role. I got to make those metrics look good and get this in place. But if that person only stays for 6 months and leaves, that's a huge lost effort, and the process needs to start again. And so it's and it also is bad for the company when you think about the experience of that particular person coming into the organization and having that turnover. It's for those people that are in the organization that are working with that individual that is perhaps unhappy or feel like that they weren't told the truth, or that their expectations were not met. That gets your other people that they're working with starting to think, well, am I really getting what I deserve out of this organization? It causes a bad culture. So it's important to do this right on the front side.
And sometimes these flaws begin with the relationship between the hiring manager and the HR professional, you know, because the job of many HR professionals, sometimes it is so tactical that they are like, like a waitress, what do you want? Let me bring this for you, but that shouldn't be it. You should be an authority in the topic, and you should be a guidance to the hiring manager to tell him, okay, I know you want this, but you don't need this. You need this. And that makes, that is a little bit difficult if you don't have experience. And that is something that happens in many companies. The recruiters, they're really junior in their experience, and I'm not saying they are bad, of course, no, but their experience makes it difficult for them to fight with a hiring manager. So if my hiring manager is my client, I am going to say yes to whatever he wants. And I'm going to look for it, even though I already know that what he wants is impossible. And it is like a cycle that doesn't work well. So HR needs to be more strategic with the hiring manager. It is really important,
Absolutely. What do you think about that, Sumit?
I completely agree with that. And the HRBPs that Pily spoke about who are not strategic, I think they're, I mean, I've heard people say that business wants me to fill a certain amount of roles, or business wants me to do this. I think that's the first misstep. When you're part of HR, you are part of business. So you can't really say, this is HR, this is business, and the two are not really separate. The second thing is, there's no point investing on fantastic tools like the TMA if you're only looking at them to be used as some kind of selection tools. So it has to be a journey. The HR function, apart from recruitment, needs to realize that these are strategic tools. They give you a lot of insight into how you can shape a person's journey within the organization. And the idea is not only to recruit them, fill up a seat for today and watch them go out of the door 4 months later. The idea is to help them flourish and thrive. And that's where I think HR needs to really relook at recruitment, treat the recruitment function with a lot more of respect and strategic intent.
Well, you're totally right, Sumit. In my experience, I even have heard people say, Pily, this is very nice, but my responsibility is attracting the people, not the development. So let's talk about it, So
Yeah.
as you're saying, they are not involved in their mindset. There is no working together with the development. I bring the candidate, and the next thing is your business,
And the candidate has no idea what's happening around them. They're like, you've suddenly had all these nice conversations about what will be, what I'm supposed to do, and you've dumped me in the deep end of the pool. I've got no clue what's happening next, and they feel let down. And that's probably where I think early attrition could be a sign that there's something broken in the system. So people who leave within 6 months, or people who end up on performance improvement plans in the first 1 year, I think that's a sign of exactly the gap that you're talking about.
And you know what? I think that when people think like that, it's not bad at all. It's a reality. They are measured by certain KPIs that are aligned only to acquisition, right? Covering vacancies in a certain time, having a certain number of candidates delivered in a certain time, etc. But it's not their fault. That's what I mean. And it is not bad either, but if we work with people that think like that, we can help them change their mindset with the following statement that says, okay, I understand that it is not part of your position to work with development, but the hiring manager is responsible for that. So what happens if you deliver all this data and all this information for the hiring manager to work better with the person? Isn't it going to be like a good thing for you, you know? So probably you're not going to work with the development, but you're giving them extra information so that they can not only have their new hire, but also a good future with the new hire, you know, or an easier future.
Just some great points.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So I do want to get back on track just to make sure our listeners can understand what we're proposing here as far as, so once again, with a model that Pily is talking about, the traditional method of attracting talent is first to reach out to see what the competencies that they have, and then we talk about, well, this is what the job pays, and this is what you will do, and by the way, this is where we're going as a company in the future. And the proposal, of course, is to switch all that around and to start with the value proposition of where the company is going first, because we want that good cultural fit. We want to show that individuals, that there's a lot of good longevity at the company and there's good opportunities and so forth. Then we talk about how the position will lead to the benefit of where the company is going in the future. And then money is later on in the conversation. It's the part of given this opportunity or this value proposition that we're presenting to you. This is the pay that is also, or the pay range that this job pays. And then you go into that discussion of seeing if there's where there might be some where their strengths and their competencies are, and where those areas lead to where you can develop those things. So for instance, how many times have we come into a recruiting situation where we find a great candidate, it's the right fit, but maybe they don't have all the skills that we want them to have, right? And what do? We tell them, oh, sorry, maybe you could go back to school or get the certification. We don't often say that, right? We bring them on, and then we create opportunities for them to advance in their knowledge or their skill set or their competency, right? So we just need to realize of the cycle of this and right set it.
Exactly, Sam. And you did a great summary of this slide. I would like to highlight that the potential is really important in the process like this, because as you said, how many times we find great candidates, but they don't have like 100% of the profile that you wanted, but they are great candidates. Why? Because they are passionate of the project. There is a growth for them. There is a motivation identified. And at the end, probably you can develop the things that they don't have right now, Probably they don't have the knowledge in a technical thing, which is something like minimal, Why minimal? Because it is much more complex to develop or to create knowledge than to develop a behavior, It takes more time, so.
Great points. So I know that we are coming up towards the top of the hour, and I just wanted to make sure that anybody, if they have any questions, to bring those in place. But I do want to show a little bit about our sponsor here. And so, Pily, if you don't mind, I'm gonna share the screen real quick and go back to the TMA. So if anybody, we've been talking a lot about TMA in this session here. And if anybody would like to learn a little bit more about what the process is like, what it's like to take an assessment and use that as a communication tool to understand not only your candidates, but your employees and the talent management process, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to set you up with a free assessment at no charge there. So to let you know how it works. Now, TMA, as we've been talking about, also has a technology side or a platform that companies use to manage the talent management cycle, the full cycle of talent management, from recruiting to onboarding and development, and understanding how do we do succession and 360s and so forth. So it's a full talent, integrated talent assessment tool that you can manage your people with. So if you would like to learn more about that, please let me know. Also, I want to, we've talked a little bit about the competency library, and that's like I said, is a free tool that's on the internet at competencylibrary.com. And also TMA has a lot of these, has apps that you can download and have the technique at your fingertips. And so if you go into Apple Store and search for TMA, you'll find a couple apps in there that are very helpful for your managers and they're on or for the recruiting processes or coaching, whatever it may be. So all free of charge. And finally, before we get back to the conversation, I want to acknowledge our speaker for next week. We're going to have Colleen Stanley join us, and she's going to be talking about accountability and the Great Resignation. So basically, in the United States, we've seen or we've witnessed a change in behavior of the workforce, and a lot of this is due because of what's occurred and the distractions of the modern workplace, of what's going on globally right now. But we're going to be talking about how to increase that accountability, how to increase engagement in the workplace. And Colleen's a wonderful speaker. She's written a few books here that you can take a look at as well. I think they're really well written and very helpful. So I'm excited to have her next week. All right, so Jules, I want to turn it over to you. Do we have any questions or any comments that came up during the discussion?
No, right now, but guys, we still have a few minutes. So if you want to put anything, write it in the chat for us so we can get those questions answered. Or even if you just have general feedback, we love to hear that as well. It helps us craft and cater all these sessions to you week by week. So put it in the chat. I'm lonely out there, so help a girl out.
Well, Pily, so what's your expectations of where the future of talent acquisition is going to go and in your environment?
Well, there is a huge need of the candidates to work on development. So I think that the future for talent acquisition is a huge involvement in development. Candidates feel more connected to an organization in which they feel they will be developed. And we need to be clear about development. It is not training, it is the feeling that you are growing, and not mainly to the next position, but with experience, with projects, with yes, learning, but probably not in a room, or in a class, but on a daily basis, development with your manager, working with people, etc. So I think that talent acquisition has to go into that way so that we can work, with a more stable environment for the candidates. And this doesn't mean that our expectation has to be that a candidate has to be there for 3 years in the same position. But we have to think, okay, I hire a candidate, and in a year, I need to have a different project for the candidate so that he can feel a development, because we have an environment that changes every day, and development requires that as well.
Right. We were just talking about that last week on the forum, about the importance of thinking about development in a broader context, such as coaching, and also, as you mentioned, I think it's very important to have those assignments that are unique, that take us out of the day-to-day, that allow us to stretch and to develop as individuals. And I think that's a very good key to engagement. So thank you for bringing that up. That was great. The other thing I'd like to just note is what we started off with. We were talking about how the environment in the United States is different than it is in Mexico. In the US, we have the supply and demand of labor is absolutely flipped compared to Mexico. Right now, there's not a whole lot of candidates, and there's a lot of companies looking for candidates. And in Mexico, companies are still ramping back up, but there's a lot of people that are looking for work, right? And I think that the important part for us to realize is that the global market for talent has changed. A lot of companies are looking across border for talent to fill their needs and different project type work. And so I think it's important for us to think of what types of jobs can be done remotely and what jobs are required to have on site, and to open our minds to other markets and take advantage of that global workforce.
And we also need to understand that even though a lot of people are looking for a remote job, not all the people are designed for that. You know, their nature is not made for that. Yeah. And TMA helps the candidates to make, to realize that, you know, if that is a good option for you or not, because there are many things involved in that.
Right. I mean, there's specifically, I remember in the assessment that there's a part that shows that if you really need the help of others, or you'd like to work in that face-to-face team, I mean, those are quite important, or the type of learning environment that you require. That's all available in that tool. So very helpful.
Exactly. I would like to take just a moment, Sam, my commercial, you know. Sure. If your organization, for all the people that are looking at this, if your organization don't know how to migrate this mindset in the HR professionals, or there is a target position that has been very difficult to fill and are interested in understanding more about this process, please feel free to contact me or to contact us in our website. I am putting it here in our chat so that you can contact. Our website is in Spanish, but you just put the translate button so that you just fill your data, and we can also get in contact with you and help you if there is an opportunity, right?
That's great. Perfect. And I know that you often have events that come up from time to time. Do you have anything on the calendar that you're planning on for this next year that you're looking forward to?
I'm sorry, Sam, I didn't understand the question.
Oh, so I know that Arancion has events from time to time. Are you planning anything for this next year?
Right now, I am not. My memory is really bad right now. I don't have something in mind, but I would like to invite all the people to join our social media, because we are communicating a lot of what we're doing, not public events as a matter of fact, but we are going to be giving the certification training for the public, for all the people interested in learning more about talent management. We are still not having a date confirmed with that. I am delivering that training, and this is our 7th training. Oh, wow. Since we launched it for the public. So just follow our social media. It is.
Is that on LinkedIn?
I was about to say, is it Instagram, LinkedIn? What's the?
Yes, it is Arancion. Let me write it here. I am very bad with that, and I'm sure that someone in the team is listening and might help you with that. I think it is .arancione.mx. I believe it is that one, and this one, Arancione. Okay. So you will be able to follow us in Instagram, and if you want to follow my Instagram as well, I am doing my beginning in Instagram, you know, it is pily.rh from Recursos Humanos, human resources, you know, And I really get passionate about talking about these topics, not only talent acquisition, but also candidates, questions and challenges and talent management issues as well.
Well, thank you so much, Pily. It's been a pleasure having you on, sharing all your knowledge.
Thank you very much to you for inviting me. I am really flattered to be here, and I really enjoy these talks, so thank you very much for that, and keep on doing it. You have been doing it for a long time, I think, and just keep doing it because people love it.
It's a lot of fun. We've been around for a couple of years now, and it's a great forum, and we're having a good time with turning this into a podcast. So join us there. But thank you once again, Pily, for joining us, and hope to see everybody next week on the People Strategy Forum. Thank you.
Okay, have a nice day.
Bye, everyone.
Coming back.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.